Hey everyone, this is Jer Stays. Welcome to a live edition of your Daily Detroit podcast on the Facebooks. It's kind of crazy. Joining me is my colleague and dear friend, Sven Gustafson. Sven, how are you?
Hey, yo, good.
And then behind the scenes, you can kind of see him there helping twiddle the knobs and make everything go. We have Randy Walker. Good sir, Engineer Randy.
Howdy.
And Fletcher, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I been busy wiping my nose. No one really wants to see that.
Thank you for sparing us.
Thank you for sparing us, sir. Thank you. Welcome. And Shianne Nocerini, who's also behind the scenes, just wanted to give everybody a look-see, helping make this thing happen.
Hey, everybody. Sorry, I got pulled away because my kid cut himself. So,
perfect timing. Perfect.
Perfect timing.
Wonderful timing. The life of somebody age 5 and under.
Exactly.
Life doesn't pause for no coronavirus.
No, this is very true. So I thought we'd do something different because we are celebrating 500 episodes of the Daily Detroit podcast, which is kind of crazy.
It's really crazy. I'm frankly, I've yet to sit down and do the math. I'm almost surprised that's not more, just because when I try to do the maths in my head, but I was not a math major, or anything close to that. So, but it sounds impressive though. 500 is a lot.
Right. And people have actually downloaded it and listened to it. It's not just our moms.
I know. It's almost like we know what we're doing or something.
A little bit, just a touch. I wouldn't claim that I know what I'm doing. We're just kind of figuring it out as we go along.
I keep trying to explain podcasts to my mom, but she doesn't quite get them.
Well, I'm just basking in the glow of being Jer. You and I had a guest we interviewed today who referred to us as the Picassos of podcasting, which we got to run
a huge
with that.
name. Yeah, that's. I don't know if I mean, he's very kind.
We got to work that into our marketing materials at some point.
Great, all of our marketing materials that we have. So many marketing materials.
I wanted to respond to him though. Well, we must be in our blue period right now, though.
That would be very appropriate considering the world out there. Well, wanted to get us started here because since it's a happy hour, we're either just enjoying things or having a little cocktail. One thing I want to shout out right from the beginning, member and supporter Tom Leeper was very kind and got us bought us some drinks, which is really great. And we made that happen through the folks at Castalia Cocktails, who we went ahead and ordered some of their cocktail cubes. And in the in-between time, between this afternoon and now, I have a secret special delivery. I have very, very similar to Mr. Rogers, where one of the new cocktails, the Love and Spoonful, that's coming out tomorrow. Those cocktail cubes, which now you got to add your own booze. That's how
podcast appearance.
Oh, hello, Julius, the podcat.
Here's Daily Detroit official podcat.
And so what we've done, what they've done there is great, where they basically drop in this ice cube of all the good things to make a fancy cocktail. Then you mix in your own whiskey or bourbon or gin or vodka or whatever, depending on the booze. And then you go ahead and mix it up. And voila, in my special drinks glass. And this is the Love and Spoonful, which has coffee, brown sugar, molasses, bitters, and a proper dilution. Not delusion. I feel like delusional now with all this.
Yeah.
How long I've been in this house, in this studio.
It's going to make you delusional. And
right.
What's your spirit that you mixed it with?
Red Saw Rye Whiskey, something that my local liquor store over on Woodward hooked me up with. This guy is great. He's always got something up his sleeve.
How is that, by the way? The Red Saw?
It's very good. It's 96 proof.
Yeah, so it'll knock you on your keister.
It's ready to go.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what flavor my cube is. It's something with maple from a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
that would be the Maple Grove.
I've mixed it with Northern Aquavit, and it's delicious.
Does that mix well? I was curious about that because that's an sort of with the caraway and
it does go well. I think
anise of the aquavit.
And I do shots of the aquavit a few times, but mostly I use it for cocktails. I use it wherever any recipe that calls for gin, I just substitute Northern Aquavit.
Yeah. Shianne, what you drinking?
I am drinking also a Castalia cocktail cube. This one is the Life of Ease, and I've paired it with some lovely Sam's Club vodka that I had in my house.
That's the way to do it.
Yes.
So, I didn't go searching out for the red saw. It found me because it was kind of like, well, what's on sale? And that worked. And it turned out to be really good.
Yeah, much like the Sam's Club vodka. So
Right?
there you go.
Well, then I found some. I had a bottle of Bacardi Gold in my liquor cabinet, so I mixed that with the Maple Grove cube from Castalia, and I garnished it with a twist of lemon. And I got to say, it's delicious.
That's
Really
Yeah.
good. I like it even better. The last time I paired it with whiskey, that was also good, but I like it with rum better.
I bet the molasses and the from the rum and the maple from the cube kind of pair well together.
Yeah.
Someone's
highly
actually
recommend.
commented what they're drinking, a Eastern Market Brewery table beer from Laura Khalil. Laura,
Hi,
good to
Laura.
see you.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Laura. We love some Eastern Market Brewery. I actually just finished my stash in my fridge from the last trip I made over down the street to Ferndale Project, but that means I got to make another trip there soon.
Oh,
But yes,
darn.
yeah. So, we are talking today. We put a question out to all of our guests who are going to be trickling in over the next hour or so about what is your favorite quarantine splurge, big or small? Yes. Thank you, Engineer Randy, for bringing that question to the fore. And, I was thinking about this, and I actually, before we went on the air here today, I made a quick visit to the supermarket to get some stuff ready for Mother's Day, both for my mom and for my wife, because we have 2 kids, so she's a mom. And I realized as much as I'd like to give a positive example here and say I'm doing something healthy and productive, every time I go to the store, no matter how well stocked I am at home, I feel this compulsion to stock up with booze.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's amazing. We have another comment for the splurge. So an answer, Laura's back with the treadmill desk.
Mm.
That is ambitious, Laura.
Way to make me
Good
look
job,
bad, Laura.
Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am not
Treadmill,
doing
whatever.
anything. Yeah, I'm not doing anything like that. I am impressed.
Yeah.
I am very impressed.
I would love to have a treadmill desk, frankly, but I have been actually getting out for runs, and I have to say on the regular, and I have to say they are doing a lot to keep me sane, frankly.
For
Personally.
sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
just getting outside, leaving the house, frankly. I mean, Jared, you and I talk about it, like our worlds are all so small now. It's like your few square blocks around you that's the world now.
Mm-hmm. Fletch, how are you doing?
I was great until a few days ago. The switch in temperature from like mediocre to cold might have given me like a slight little cold. Yeah, I sleep by the window, so waking up a few degrees lower than you expected to is really not fun. Otherwise, I'm fine. In terms of a splurge, I guess I'm gonna feel kind of bad because it's a bit responsible. But my girlfriend and I recently put an offer down on a house.
Ooh,
That's
Ooh,
a hell of a-
congratulations.
That's
great
news.
Fletcher wins.
We're waiting to hear back to see if we get it or not. But if we do, then that's great. And if not, then we spent nothing. So
Yeah. Outstanding. Do you mind if I ask where the house is? Like what city?
we currently live in literally just outside of Detroit in Grosse Pointe Park.
Yeah.
We will be moving 1.5 street over.
Okay.
So yeah, it would be nice, but also if we don't, then it's not the end of the world. We're, as everyone can say, are a little bit fortunate right now to be inside during the pandemic, so we'll be happy to live where we are, but we'd also like to live somewhere where we own. So that would be a nice little upgrade. But yeah, I guess after that would be we bought a Roomba, so
Those are the best.
that's a nice. Yeah, it's we have 2 cats, so it's when they get a little feisty and they want to get in the way and they don't want to move, we just activate the Roomba and we're like, ha, under the bed you go. So
I don't know what a Roomba is.
it's a little automatic vacuum, the little circle that goes around and picks up all the dirt for you.
Oh, like the one we have at Daily Detroit World Headquarters down there in the North End.
Yes.
Right, we've got one
And,
right there.
It kind of is a good and a bad because it helps us clean, but it also made us realize because it has a little accompanying phone app. It let us know how little we sweep in the house. Within the first 2 days of us having it, we used it maybe 4 times, and all 4 times it would die in the first 30 minutes, and we're like, what's going on? And I looked up online. It's like when your Roomba does excessive work, it dies before the hour and a half battery limit. And I'm like, oh, well, what's excessive work? It's like an average dirt count it's supposed to pick up is maybe 40 or 50 per session. And I looked at that first 3, and it's picking up 200. I'm like, oh, that's bad. We should sweep more, definitely. But we're happy to have it. So now that it's doing regular stuff. But yeah, outside of the Roomba and potentially buying a house, I haven't really paid for anything. Maybe cereal, but yeah, that's really it.
Well,
Good luck with
Fletcher,
that.
yeah, for sure. Fletcher, we're going to circle back to you in a little bit, I'm sure, because we've, of course, got to talk DCFC and sports and all those things. Before we get to our first guest, and I'm going to butcher the name, and I am so sorry, but Chowmin McFlarthen? I'm trying my best. Really am.
I wonder if this is Chowman's real name, or is this just somebody joking around?
I mean, if it's his real name,
it's an
I love
Irish
it.
name, and I believe it's Kevin.
Okay, Kevin.
It's cool.
Beautiful.
Man.
That's an
Yeah.
awesome name.
He
I'm
says
jealous.
gardening supplies for him. I have about 10 pounds of seeds to plant now, except it's snowing right now. Well, yeah, I feel you, Chowman. I've got a bunch of seedlings that I planted that are coming up, and I got to run down to the neighbor and borrow a tarp to cover them up because it's supposed to get below 30 tonight. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
I'm in the same boat.
And he confirms it's Kevin in Gaelic.
Kevin,
Yeah, I win.
Kevin. Randy wins.
nice job, Randy.
Cheers to Randy. Cheers to Randy. All right. So our first guest is a friend of the show.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing, Pastor Jonathan Merritt?
Good,
Welcome
good.
to Daily Detroit.
how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing-
During the day.
Doing good, doing good. Welcome.
Doing good. Doing good.
Good,
Good to
good,
see
good.
you.
Huh?
It's good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you guys as well. I miss you guys.
We miss you too.
Yeah.
Whenever it's sunny, I think about the patio over there on Livernois.
Yeah, that's why I wear my shirt. Got the sun shining on me right now, and I can't wait to be back. And might be in a different kind of way, but we're excited and trying to make sure we come up with the right way to keep everybody safe and give everybody an experience that still matches the same type of experience, even though it may be a little bit different. But we're excited to come back to the neighborhood and to everybody and, be able to be open.
For sure, for sure. Every time I see the sun, I think about the cafe. How are things in your world? Because you're doing two things. You've got the Narrowway Cafe, and you're also with Straight Gate Church. So this has got to be a trying time for you, sir.
Yeah, it definitely is. We have a pretty significant congregation, and so just trying to be there for them and meet their needs. And yesterday we gave out 20,000 pounds of food to the community, and so
that's
we're
great.
just trying to find different ways in order to still have the impact that we usually do. And so our emergency food pantry has never stopped, and so we've been doing that, for years and years, and definitely has been a huge need in the community. And so I think that's what all of us are called to do, is to meet the needs of others and think about other people. And even during this time, we always are trying, some people are thinking about themselves, but I try to tell people, think about your neighbor, think about the other people around you that might need a helping hand. And if you're able to help still in this time period, find a way to do so. I've been, giving to other people's nonprofits and just saying that, hey, let other people need support just as much as I need support. And I think if we all are there for somebody else, our own needs to be met.
Yeah, Reverend Merritt, your coffee shop is closed temporarily right now. You're unable to hold, Sunday service in the actual church. But do you find yourself any less busy than before?
No, I'm actually more busy because now we're producing a show for the church every single day. That airs live. That airs live every single day. 6 days out of the week, Sunday through Friday, and then for the coffee shop, tons of time strategizing, trying to figure out what's the best way to deliver service with a clean atmosphere, upholding the certain security measures. And so we're just trying to do as much as we can right now on all fronts. And then obviously I have 4 kids, so that's like a whole nother thing of making sure or trying to be there for them during this time.
Get them, keep them doing their homework.
Yeah.
Keep them having structure during the day. That's a whole other challenge, man.
Yeah, our teachers need big time raises after this is over.
For sure.
For real.
Well, they've been needed it, but now it's got to be done. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So we've been asking, we're going to be asking all of our guests the one key question, which is, what is your quarantine splurge, large or small?
My wife has a lot of quarantine splurges right now. I just made another one today. The landscapers are outside my house putting mulch in. And so just to make sure that we can have an outside setting where our kids can run around. She's been buying some patio furniture, and just so that when it gets hot, whenever it does, maybe I'll do some praying for everybody today that the weather changes for the good for us and get this snow out of the way. But just to spend some quality time with family, and I think that's the most important thing that all of us are trying to do, is figure ways to enhance our time during this time instead of succumbing to all the negativity surrounding it.
Yeah, right. I mean, we're all going to be spending a lot of time around the house in the next few weeks, probably months.
Yeah. It's so hard to combat that negativity. What are you doing as a man and a man of faith to get through that? I mean, what does prayer look like for you nowadays?
Prayer looks like for me, not just for my family, but obviously for our church and for the city, nation. But a lot of the times now that people are being impacted by this within our community, and people that I know in my network, and also whether it's people from the coffee shop or the church, is praying a lot for people on the phone. People are reaching out saying that they need prayer, and we want to be there for them, and just trying to do the best that we can to be there, stand in the gap for somebody else.
Sure, for sure.
Anything you do, I mean, because I'm sure you probably struggle with, staying positive as much as anybody, right? These are hard times. Like what kinds of things are you doing to try to
turning off the TV? I do more of my getting my news off of reading. That way I can be selective in what I'm hearing. And when I want to shut it off, I can just, flip to a different website, or if I'm on my, news on my Apple, on my devices, I can just, go to a different app. So I think limiting the amount of what I'm intaking is also definitely helping out. And I've been doing that since like the second week. The first week I was like looking at the news all constantly, like glued to the TV. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't keep on doing this. I got to make sure that I'm there for people. And so the great way to do that for me is to unplug and then plug into what I need, listening to my positive reinforcement, getting back into the word and being there for people.
Yeah, that's good.
What do some of those what are some of those thoughts so far when it comes to Narrowway being a retail and a business that people show up to? I mean, it's got to be a questioning time right now.
Yeah. So one of the things that I love about business always is coming up with new and inventive ways to be there and create great experiences. We believe that we did that when we first opened, and continue to enhance our product by moving to mugs, moving to glass cups for our smoothies, and doing different things. And we had as you see in the picture there, a garage door that opens up and a patio door that opens up. But now we're going to be able, because of the streetscape, be able to create more outside seating, which I believe in the summertime will be a great tool for people to be able to come grab and go and sit down outside versus being indoors, and making sure that we are cleaning the place. One thing that I think that we've always done a good job of is keeping our place clean. But now, we're just going to take that over the top and, do it even more.
Speaking of the streetscape, that's a huge project over there on Livernois between, roughly 7 and 8 mile roads. Was hugely disruptive to business before all this coronavirus quarantine happened and everything. But like, how's it looking now? I mean, it's mostly done, right?
Yeah, it's mostly done for the most part. We just have to, I think that now they're going to be putting in the benches and putting in all the extra stuff to make it aesthetically pleasing instead of just concrete. But we're looking forward to the opportunity to serve the people of Detroit again. And we can't just wait to see our faces of all the people who have patronized us over the years. And we're just excited.
Yeah, and it's gotta be looking nice now that the trees are leafing out and blooming and everything. It's going to be beautiful, I think.
Yep, it's definitely going to be great.
Yeah.
Well, Pastor Merritt, I have somebody. Our next guest is somebody who's actually been to your coffee shop and is an old friend of Daily Detroit's.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mean you're kicking me off?
No, you're on. We're going to add one more. We're adding one more, and we're going to be adding Karen Dybis, author, journalist, and all things extraordinaire. How are you, Karen?
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good. Thank you for celebrating 500 with us.
Oh, congratulations. This is major league. I'm so impressed that you guys have had this much news to share and kept Detroit in the headlines.
Oh, we're big time. Yeah.
I think of you as big time.
Well, thank you. It means a lot coming from you because, you're somebody who, if you want to know about potato chips, you ask Karen Dybis. If you want to know about witches in Delray, you ask Karen Dybis.
Karen is the author, we should mention, of 4 books. She's a longtime journalist and the author of 4 published books, The Witch of Delray, Secret Detroit, A Guide to the Weird, Wonderful, and Obscure. Jerry, you were referring to potato chips. She wrote Better Made in Michigan, The Salty Story of Detroit's Best Chip. And she also wrote The Ford, Wyoming Drive-In, Cars, Candy, and Canoodling in the Motor City. So, Karen,
here's the big issue of the moment is the drive-ins.
Right. That is a hot issue. Let's talk about that a little bit. That is a hot issue.
Yeah, it's the only time I've been political in my entire life. I have sent multiple emails and called the governor on this topic. It's the only thing I care about. And when it comes to the quarantine is get the drive-ins open. Let's get back there. There's only 10 affected businesses in the state of Michigan. You'd think they could figure something out for them.
There's 10 drive-ins in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, there's 8 formal ones that are like old school. And then the 2 temporary or, screens they throw in the parking lots, as I call them.
Wow.
So they could make it work. We need to get out.
We were talking to, we had an interview. It hasn't aired yet, but he was talking about, telling us about live music concerts that they've been having in some places, kind of like drive-ins. Like they're in drive-in lots. So you can go to a concert and have the sound piped in through the little speaker that you hook on your window, just like at a drive-in. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's a huge opportunity right now to use those spaces because you can use the digital sound and you can usually show movies during the day if you wanted to, like the one that they were suggesting at Canterbury Village. That's just a guy who's got audio-visual skills. He's using his screens that he would do at concerts. So there's no reason why you couldn't make it like an all-day festival other than, again, social distancing. I respect that it is a serious concern. So I will let it go from there, but I would love to see drive-ins have this resurgence right now, especially because we have such great ones in Michigan.
Karen, I got a question for you. Can I ask you a question? How would you do it with the restrooms? How would you do it if it was an all-day affair with restrooms?
Yeah, that's the quandary that a lot of people have brought up. The owners have talked about both having multiple on site. So you could have, rather than the standard restroom, you could have some temporary porta potties, but you could also have regular cleaning going on. Or in the case of some of the drive-ins are doing a single movie versus the traditional double feature. So you'd come in for 2 hours, get out before you'd have to use the facilities. And then they'd allow concessions in the car versus going to the stand. So there's things that are going to have to change, but that's our lives now. We're not going back. So.
Yeah. I have one thing to admit.
Well.
I have one thing to admit on this very special episode, this 500th episode. I have never been to a drive-thru.
Oh my God! Really?
Drive-in? Never.
Wow.
Never.
This is your time. This is your time because churches in other states have been using the drive-in to do both their own impromptu style, where just people in the parking lot are listening to the mass or religious ceremony, but also you could definitely, if these owners were innovative, which I'd love to see them be, you could have the coolest ceremony, graduation, mass, whatever you want to do, concert, go back to how they were when they opened in the 40s and the 50s of just an evening out that involved the kids running around, wearing themselves out, putt-putt golf, games, and then the movie. So yeah, it's a brilliant way to continue to socialize but be distant.
Yeah.
In kind of that old way.
Jer, it dawns on me that not only is Reverend Merritt probably younger than, at least younger than me, but frankly, a lot of our listeners probably don't even like, they probably go, what's that? A drive-in movie? What are you talking about?
Well, you know, I love drive-ins, but that's because I've got this huge like thing for kind of like retro Americana. And it's a great date. And I see how this could totally be a great thing for the family too, especially if you've got an SUV or something. You know, that would be a great thing. And, you know, people are going to need to get out. We're going to need to get kids out. There's all kinds of things. I mean, we've just been talking, Sven, offline about how, you know, you've got kids, Karen, you've got kids, Pastor, you've got kids. Like, I don't know how y'all do it. And I don't know how you're going to do it with the recs closed, the rec centers closed, the pools closed, summers closed. And then we got murder hornets. I mean, we don't have them here, but we got all of that too, right? I also would add a commenter, Stephanie Taylor. Drive-ins definitely need to make a comeback with current and throwback movies, and I'm a big fan of those throwback movies.
Yeah, that was always the pride of the Forward Wyoming, was the original double headers. The way they brought them together, they would do things like the action movies, you know, do an Arnold Schwarzenegger night, or they would have Purple Rain over like the course of 2 months. They played it every single night because it was that big for them. So a throwback would be brilliant right now, because you pull up, the car's at a little bit of an angle, so you're not blocked by another vehicle. And then you've got the big open space and this giant, you know, 2-story, however many stories the screens are, depending on the drive-in screen, that is digital now. So it's as good a quality as your television.
Yeah.
And then as good as your radio is in your car is as high quality as your sound is. So it's really a fantastic experience. You got it. One of these days, go out to the Forward Wyoming. I'll tell them you're coming, and you know,
please do.
I like how
part is they might even, if they're feeling really generous, they'll let you turn the movie on. They let me do it one time.
Wow.
And it's just a touch screen at this point, but just the thrill of that, seeing the screen light up because you press the button. It's really a fantastic experience.
I like how the Ford Wyoming tries to theme their double features whenever possible. Like the last time I was there, I saw Zootopia and Jungle Book back to back.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's nice.
Yeah, their history goes back to the guy who currently owns the Forward Wyoming. His dad was the first manager at the Fox Theater when it opened. So it's a movie dynasty kind of family.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm a Ann Arbor kid. I grew up in Ann Arbor, and so for literally decades, the State Theater in town ran midnight showings of Rocky Horror Picture Show and Harold and Maude. Are you guys familiar with Harold and Maude at all? It's a
That's
oh my god,
perfection.
it's a brilliant comedy from a black comedy from the 70s, with a Cat Stevens soundtrack. I mean, it would be epic at the Forward Wyoming Drive-In. You know, both of those things would be amazing. You know, just kind of like cult movies that have huge, crazy followings. It'd be so much fun to go see those. So yeah, total business opportunity there.
Well, speaking of a few things, we've got some more commenters. First off, Kevin says Harold and Maude is a great movie. So number one off the bat, and also that he misses going to those. There used to be one on Grand River on the east side of Farmington. There's a Target there now.
Yeah.
I think you're on the west side, so you would know, Pastor. And then another one for the throwback movies, Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3.
That'd be cool.
That would be a good one.
I like the idea of Purple Rain too. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Or another good one, you know, thinking about the sound and everything, the Talking Heads concert film, Stop Making Sense.
That could be a lot of fun.
The problem with that, and probably the same thing with Purple Rain, is you'd want to get up and get out of your car and dance. Like, you can't be in your car, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that gets to that. Getting out of the car gets to actually the comment from Jay Binsky here. What if I load a couch in the back of my truck? Would that still follow social distancing guidelines? And I feel like you could dance in the back of a truck if you're a good distance away from people. I'm no epidemiologist at all, but I think that's an interesting point.
I would want to dance to Purple Rain.
Or in the summertime, bring one of those like little inflatable pools and fill it up with water in the bed of your truck. And then
well, you know, that makes me think of L Club and Northern Lights have both done MJ versus Prince parties, which are pretty fun to go to.
Hold on. Who's your pick?
Oh, me? Oh, that's tough.
I got to go with Prince. Like
You're gonna go with
unequivocally.
Prince? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going MJ.
You're going
Well,
MJ?
Yeah.
Partly because MJ is very complicated nowadays, you know, given what we know about him and all the allegations and everything. I have a hard time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a lot of early MJ. I think Billie Jean is one of those like perfect songs that is just, you can't, it's indestructible and it's unassailable. But I can't go there. I just can't.
Oh. Okay. Karen?
I'm always going to say MJ as well. If you can separate authors from their bad behavior, if you could separate actors from their bad behavior, you know, like again, Woody Allen, sorry. If these guys are allowed to continue to exist, I will separate Michael from his questionable decisions and just say that I mean, those songs that we sung into our hairbrushes and the videos and the magic he created, the moonwalk, that seminal moments of our youth. I just think and Prince is a genius, but Michael was like an accessible genius. And I kind of feel for that lost childhood. You know, the Macaulay Culkin's interviews I've seen where he talks about how they related to each other on just how hard it was to grow up with crazy parents. So I find that very relatable. And I think Prince's parents are an interesting conundrum too, but hence Purple Rain. But they're both great, but I'll take Michael.
See, it's hard for me to pick because I love them both so very much, and that's such a middle of the fence road to say. In fact, there is a mural a few blocks from my house that's like 12 feet tall. That's just a giant Prince mural, and it's amazing, and it's absolutely great. You know what? It depends on context. If I'm on a date, I want Prince. If I'm on a date, I want Prince. If I'm just out there and about, I want MJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also, I think Prince was, he was at the top of his game for longer than Michael Jackson was. My own personal taste. I think after Thriller, Michael Jackson started to lose me a little bit musically.
After Thriller,
Prince
that means
Prince
you still
kept
had Bad, you still had Black and
Yeah,
White,
and
you still had Man in the Mirror, you still had Jam, you still had
Remember the
Dangerous,
Time?
you still had Beat It, you still had.
No,
I keep on going.
Well, wait, Beat It wasn't Beat It on Thriller?
Was Beat It on Thriller or Beat It?
Beat It was not his own album, I don't think.
No, Beat It was on.
Are you Googling that right now?
I was.
Anyway, maybe one of our somebody watching this can tell us who might know better.
Well,
it was probably Thriller.
Yeah.
One of our listeners, Stephanie, says "Man in the Mirror" is a song that we will always need. So that's one there. I'll use this opportunity, and it's a good opening question to add another person to the chat. Mr. Man About Town for Daily Detroit, and he doesn't have much town to be about right now. Devin O'Reilly, sir, from your perch high above the city of Detroit. How are you? Welcome back to the show.
Devin.
Hello, good to be here. I've never done a show like this, so this is awesome.
Neither have we.
There you go.
Here we go.
No better time than now.
You are a man about town. As a man about town, what are your thoughts? MJ versus Prince.
So I haven't heard any context or anything. But I'm gonna go Prince.
Wow.
I'm gonna go
Good
Prince.
choice. Good choice.
I have better memories of dancing to Prince at the Old Miami during Nothing Elegant than I do MJ. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay.
I like it. I like it. Sounds good. We also probably picked, I mean, in fairness, both those artists probably a little bit before your time, I'm guessing, Devin, maybe?
I'd say during my time. Their careers started before my time.
I'm getting to the point where I'm assuming everybody's way younger than me. I'm like the grandpa of Daily Detroit.
I was born in the 80s, let's say that. So
right.
That's fair.
Google says Beat It was on Thriller, released as a single before.
Yeah.
Called it.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I said Thriller was a great album, no question about it. I just feel like that was like his peak, and then he, started.
Do you remember the time? You want me to keep on naming songs?
That was a good song. That was a good song. I'm not saying he didn't have any good songs after that. I just, to me, he just got like he just got a little weird after that, like in kind of a icky
And
way to
Prince
me.
was perfectly normal. the whole
He was
time.
always weird.
Completely normal.
He was never called a symbol.
Right.
Now,
But he's-
MJ let Weird Al do his songs, and Prince wouldn't. So I think MJ wins on that one too.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah, but Prince collaborated with Sheena Easton.
Oh yeah,
and-
because that's a winner. You cannot put sugar walls up here. I'm sorry.
Who knew that this was
Maybe
going to turn
Manic
into?
Monday. Maybe Nothing Compares to You. I'll let you have those. But no Sheena.
You know, Mr. Gustafson, who knew this was going to turn into a Swedish roast?
I don't know. Who knows? Before we get too far afield, we never asked you, Karen, about your quarantine splurge, big or small, your favorite quarantine splurge.
I admit we have been cooking so much at home, which I despair. I don't mind it, but I'm Polish and everything's bland anyway when I cook, that we actually got new pots and pans. That was the big splurge. And the small little wonderful things is like getting out of the house and getting some takeout from people. I mean, as much as we can support businesses right now, I'm trying, and buying gift certificates and, books from Pages and all the other people that are really trying to keep it going.
I bought a used pitchfork. I actually literally needed a pitchfork off Craigslist from a guy. I live in Ferndale. I drove all the way up to Oxford to buy it off this guy last weekend. And I got to say, like, it was, traffic is minimal. I mean, normally that would be kind of a harrowing journey just because traffic up there is terrible, but it wasn't really a factor. And it was so nice to get out and drive and break out of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Oh, for
Devin,
sure.
Devin, how about your quarantine splurge?
Quarantine splurge. I mean, again, food and booze. I guess for a man about town, I still have to try and get out and about town, which, means getting carry out at some of the local places that are open. There's enough of them. Hitting up Marcus Market in Midtown for my booze fix. They have quite a selection. So yeah, it's been food and booze. Why not?
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I went too. So,
I mean, I do have 10 pounds of chorizo in my fridge.
You never have.
I'm about to come over.
You're welcome. Like
That's
we'll
like a bad
quarantine.
episode of Chopped waiting to happen.
Oh, well. So I've
Sure,
made
open your basket. It's 10 pounds of chorizo, Jolly Ranchers, gummy bears,
And
and
celery.
lima beans.
and
Go.
and,
Yeah.
and windmill cookies. They're my other obsession.
Oh.
Those windmill cookies.
Oh man.
Aren't they so good?
Oh man. If you grew up in the 80s, like snack time in nursery or kindergarten, man, like those things were amazing.
I specifically go to the Family Dollar to get them because not everywhere carries them. Because I do love my almond windmill cookies.
Oh man, they're amazing.
They're only $1. It's great. It's the pleasures of the city. I don't know what to do with all this chorizo though, guys and gals, because I have made tacos, I have made enchiladas, I have made quesadillas, I've made Mexican lasagna, I've made spaghetti, I've made breakfast burritos.
Rancheros.
Okay.
I was gonna say it's a great breakfast food too. You can do a lot with eggs and stuff. So
Yeah.
Eggs.
breakfast burrito.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I'm gonna get through it eventually.
I feel like I need to chime in on this one.
Yeah,
Being
please.
the resident cook. Lots of breakfasts like they suggested. You could make migas or chilaquiles. Like Karen said, the huevos rancheros. Lots of options.
We've got some more comments in there. Someone called out that I don't think Sven is going to win this one. So I thought that would be pretty funny. And then Kevin says they used to work across from the Aury Bakery in Livonia and that they've eaten so many windmill cookies.
Yeah. Well, Joe, you and I have been known to polish off an entire package, while we're working on a show.
Remember that time we did that? So a previous episode, we did Bruet Faison on the east side.
Yep.
In the Island View neighborhood. And we tried all the things that they have to offer, Sven.
Yeah.
We really tried.
It looks like we have to, are we saying goodbye to Reverend Merritt?
I mean, we can keep everybody on. We've got enough room.
Are we? Okay. He said, Randy, can you cue in? Hey, Nathan Bomi has joined us.
How's it going, guys?
Nathan, good to see you. Welcome to Daily Detroit. Wow, it is nice to see you and welcome somebody from out of town. We're getting an out of town perspective. Everybody, Nathan Bomey is a business journalist from USA Today. He's he literally wrote the book on Detroit's bankruptcy. He's a former Detroit Free Press reporter who wrote the book Detroit Resurrected: To Bankruptcy and Back. Also wrote a book called After the Fact: The Erosion of Truth and the Inevitable Rise of Donald Trump. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing great. I mean, as well as can be expected, I'm here at the Arlington headquarters of USA Today, I guess, in my apartment in Arlington, Virginia.
Yeah.
And I've been working from home for about 2 months now. And, you know, we're hanging in there. As you know, it's a tough time for journalism, tough time for everybody, of course. But I just covered the Gannett earnings yesterday, which is always interesting, covering the earnings for your own company. So that was interesting. But, you know, we're doing good journalism. And I think that's, you know, I'm sure you feel the same at a time like this. You feel like you're doing a public service. You know, people actually genuinely need the news and information that we're providing. So that's a cool feeling.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, and that fits right in because we've been talking about really weighty topics like Michael Jackson versus Prince.
Well, I don't. You want me to weigh in on that? Because you know I'm a musical connoisseur. So.
Of course.
I have to say I know Michael Jackson way better than Prince. I think that one's a pretty easy one for me. But Prince is a little bit of an incomplete for me. I feel like I don't know his music as well as I do Michael Jackson. So I have to go with Michael Jackson.
Wow, maybe that's my like personal mission, is to introduce you to the splendor that is Prince.
Well, I am, you know, young and inexperienced, Sven, so you know, you are always schooling me. You know, I'm always learning a lot from Sven.
Well, I don't know about that, but that's crazy. How are things? In all seriousness, how are things in you know, the DC area where you live? Like, have you guys? I really honestly don't know. Have you guys been hit hard there by the coronavirus?
Not as hard as Detroit. You know, I think that Michigan and Detroit in particular have been obviously hit almost as hard as anywhere, I guess, with the possible exception of New York. This area, you know, DC essentially is, you know, the tri-state area, Virginia, Maryland. Of course, DC is not technically a state, but you know, you really have to kind of look at all three to get a good idea for how this area is doing. And collectively, I believe the area, all three have somewhere in the vicinity of Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, from last time I saw the numbers. But each individually is nowhere close, and I'm not sure why that is. You know, I think there are some hard hits of this areas of this area, but not collectively as bad as Michigan. I'm not sure if it's because you don't have as much, you know, manufacturing here, for example, so more people can work from home. But you know, there's just so much speculation, and I think so much that we still don't understand about the situation. Yeah,
and you guys are on like stay at home there though too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I know it very well because on my birthday, March 30th, is when the governor of Virginia put in force his stay-at-home order, and his immediately went through June 10th. So it's been very interesting to watch all the consternation in Michigan among friends and family who are upset at the sort of continuous extension of the Michigan order, when out here it's been through June 10th from the very beginning.
Wow. You know, I did happen to go to the CDC website, the Centers for Disease Control, today, and I noticed, I just checked the numbers once in a while, and I noticed this is kind of interesting. California seems to be having something of a spike. They've actually surpassed Michigan. This is just in the past couple of days since I last checked. And the other, refresh my memory, Jeremiah, what was the other state? Oh, Illinois passed us too. Past Michigan, which I think, you know, and I'm not trying to, you know, share bad news in other states, you know, seeing spikes, but I do think that here in Michigan, we are starting to see, you know, the curve flatten a little bit, which is good news. You know, we got to take every bit of good news as we can get it, frankly. Yeah.
You know, Detroit, it's good to see the numbers down there. I was just saying to somebody today that it's, you know, the fact that Detroit ended up experiencing a really bad case of this, no pun intended, doesn't surprise me at all. Obviously, there's all kinds of factors that work there. But also, you know, I've said before in regards to the Detroit bankruptcy and other instances in the city's past, that Detroit seems to experience everything to the extreme. You know, whether it's the extreme wealth of the 1920s that, you know, basically moved through the city, and the extremely beautiful architecture that the city has, to the extreme, you know, racial tension that has existed in the city over the course of decades, to the extreme poverty and blight that has happened at the same time, to the most extreme bankruptcy that you could have. You know, it just seems like Detroit does everything to the extreme, one way or the other. I'm not surprised at all that this crisis has hit the city extremely hard. But, you know, I said to people, if there's any area that I'm convinced will get through this, it's Detroit, because of its resiliency and because of the people, because of the grit, and, you know, just the fact that people in Detroit are not going to stop. They're not going to give up. And, you know, I think the resiliency there is something that is really going to shine through in the end.
Well, and a good sign is that it's down to about 10% of tests coming back positive, which epidemiologists tell me that's a good sign that things are starting to get more under control if only 10% of your tests are coming back positive.
I think I saw today it was actually down to like 8. If I saw something on Twitter about that, which is really good news. Yeah,
that's a lot of progress, and I think that's part of why you're starting to see some things start to reopen. You know, Nathan, on a national level, what do you think? What do you think of this whole thing and the long-term impacts on the business side?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been immersed in covering the business impact from, you know, ranging from the impact of meat shortages to the impact on retail. This week, I wrote about the bankruptcies of J. Crew and the bankruptcy of Neiman Marcus. We're expecting the bankruptcy of J.C. Penney probably in the next week or two. So, you know, this is hitting retail really hard. Obviously, the retailers that were already in trouble are the ones who are immediately kind of falling here. So, you know, no one should be too shocked at some of these that have already occurred. But on the other hand, you have some retailers that are doing really well right now. So it's definitely splintered retail into the haves and have-nots. And, you know, I think that that's sort of a situation that already existed and will continue to exist. I think from an economic perspective, you know, it's just really been interesting to see how the stock market has rebounded a little bit. And the question is that unrealistic? Is that sort of a signal that we are going to get out of this quickly, or is the market just completely disconnected from reality right now? And will we see, you know, a backwards slide? I'm not sure. You know, if they don't pay me to make those kind of predictions.
Yeah, those are good questions. Nate, feel free to, you know, you can swat this one away if you want, but do you want to talk about Mitch McConnell's proposal to let states declare bankruptcy? Like, what do you make of that?
Yeah, actually, you know, I'm working on a story as we speak for USA Today about the potential impact of this crisis on pensions, on public pensions throughout the country. And part of that's going to be a discussion of Mitch McConnell's statements that maybe states should be allowed to file for bankruptcy. Now, I think in the last 2 weeks since he made that comment, the idea that this could actually happen has it's become pretty clear that it's not going to happen, that the chances are slim to none, if only because the Democrats control the House. And so that alone is enough to probably prevent it from happening. But the concept has stirred up quite a lot of consternation and outrage among people, just the thought of this happening, because it would pretty clearly be aimed at cutting pensions, because that is one of the only things that states could do to reduce their liability, short of stiffing, you know, basically bondholders. But there aren't that many bondholders for a state, because states can't borrow to pay the to cover their deficits, except for short-term borrowing. So, you know, I think McConnell's kind of walked it back a little bit, and we're likely to see some sort of, you know, influx of funds for cities and states. Maybe that'll help out Michigan and Detroit, hopefully cover some of the gap that they've experienced. But, you know, I will say this. I don't think I think it's a non-zero chance of state bankruptcy. I might be on a limb there. I'm just saying that if this situation were to devolve into a depression, let's just say that, you know, God forbid, that's where we're headed. I think all bets are off in that case. I mean, who knows what they could do? But from a constitutional perspective, there's a lot of people who would argue that state bankruptcy is unconstitutional. So that could also be an obstacle.
That's crazy. Back to your discussion about like Neiman Marcus and J.C. Penney bankruptcies and everything. Like, what do you think we're looking at? I mean, obviously there's a long way to go, and bankruptcy can be a long drawn out process and everything, but like a lot of empty big storefronts in malls likely to result from this.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think that one of the big questions is, will we ever go back to the kind of commercial real estate occupancy that we had before? I mean, retailers, of course, being the first to go, probably. A lot of the big box chains are struggling really a lot right now. Malls in particular, malls have got to be the first on the chopping block, a place where people go to hang out, and a lot of these malls had started to shift toward experiential type of business models, where the whole thing was, you don't go there to shop, you go there to hang out, you go to go to the restaurant, have some other alternative experience. All of a sudden, overnight, that entire model has been called into question. And so that's a crisis. I saw that Vernado, the Realty Trust, said the other day that they believe that the situation will not have a long-term impact on commercial real estate demand. I don't know how they can say that right now. That seems way too early to say, because to be frank with you, our CEO already said we should not expect to come back to the office for many, many months. And I'm taking that to mean possibly not this year. So will employers start to realize that they don't need as much office space as they had before? I think it's possible.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
So Nate, we're about to welcome a new guest, and you're free to stick around if you want, but I have to ask you our central question that we're asking of all our guests, which is, what is your favorite quarantine splurge, large or small?
I was thinking about this, and
did you do a mail order for what's your custard? What's your chain?
Oh my gosh, Culver's frozen Culver's. Oh man,
Culver's is so good.
He's a Wisconsin.
You're planting ideas in my head. You see, Sven, Sven, and I've been trying to indoctrinate Sven on Culver's for the last 10 to 12 years, and I believe we did stop at a Culver's at one point on the way back from Mcconnell Culver's once. I made Sven stop, because that was back in Gaylord, when Gaylord was the only place where they had a Culver's. Now you got them in like Ann Arbor and everything. So but there is not a single one out here, Sven. So it's my lot in life to live in an area with no Culver's. I am going to have to actually ship myself some Culver's after this. But my splurge, I bought like a fall jacket, thinking, hey, this is a good time to get a deal. And I live a crazy life, Sven, you can tell. So that a jacket is like my biggest splurge.
Wow.
That's amazing. Well, I want to bring a couple folks in to this conversation, because we are talking a bit about business. I want to make this like a very real, because when you talk about like these bankruptcies of these retail giants and things like that, I really worry about the people. Like, I look at all of those retail jobs that aren't coming back. Like, it's very hard to backfill those many people, and it has a lot of effects on the community and then also just businesses in general. So I want to bring in a couple of our business folks off the bat here. Tom Lawrence is a fan of the show. He is a business owner himself. Welcome to Daily Detroit. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you. Good to see you. And I also want to bring back Pastor Merritt to throw him in there too, because we've got two people who are very they actively own businesses, and kind of like what's on the ground, and what are you guys thinking, hearing everything that Nathan was talking about?
Go ahead and start.
When I first heard about the bankruptcies of the businesses, of the big retails, I'm just thinking, is this just the play, big business owners just taking advantage of the situation and just saying, hey, let's just try to get rid of this debt right now. It's great time for us, even from everybody will think that it's COVID, but as he said, I think that, along with people's balance sheets that weren't even doing well before that, it's just, activated now that it's just grown to a point where it's unattainable. I do think that we all have to look at this in a lens of, I know a lot of people are saying there is a new normal, but I do think that there's two sides of this new normal, because we also see a contingent of the nation that doesn't want the new normal to be normal. So how will the new normal be forced upon them, or will they still, do business as usual? And will the other side just continue to social distance? And so that's really what I'm trying to as a business owner, figure out who are my constituents, who are the people that come and buy from me, and what does that look like for them? And then as well, what does that look like for the business landscape, not only in Detroit, but Metro Detroit region, nation?
For me, it's been interesting talking to clients because, some clients you talk to, it's heartbreaking to hear they laid off as many people as they did. I own an IT services company, so we directly interact with a lot of the management teams there. So when we have as IT people, we know when people are fired before they do. Like we have a lot of inside information of what's going to happen when things are going to go down. And some of the companies have gone completely dark. So we've got some transportation companies that laid off like almost 100% of their staff because they move. One of them specifically moves a lot of furniture. They first got hit with the art van problem. Second, compounded by the other little things they were moving. Like, nothing's moving. So they had laboring off. Then we have the other freight companies that can't keep up because they're moving general commodity goods. And they're like, well, Amazon's still shipping stuff. We're still hitting these distribution centers. And so they're ramping up. So we're seeing the kind of mix. But where I think we see some of the biggest ones is we've had a conversation with a couple of large venue coordination companies. Like they put together like big parties and things like that. And one of them, he laid off 400 of his staff and he has zero plan of how he's going to bring them back. He's like, I have no idea. He says he doesn't see because he promotes events at bars in the tri-state area. And he's just like, I don't see any of them coming back. He goes, I don't know. He goes, consumer confidence. If you said right now, let's open the bars, who's going to show up? Besides those, niche people, we know who they are. They're mad. They want, like you said, they're trying to force the normal to just happen. But there's honestly, when you start looking at it from a numbers perspective, they don't represent a large enough piece of the population. They're noisy. We notice them. They've gotten heard, but that didn't change. If you ask the 100 random people, I'm going to probably tell you that 90 of them say, I'm not going to the bar tomorrow, even if it was open. So we have a lot that consumer confidence is going to play in this long term for the market. It's going to be really interesting. If we don't have consumer confidence, we don't have venues. We see all these big companies canceling events. And me working in the tech space, when Microsoft announced, and Microsoft puts on some of the largest events, 5,000-6,000 people in the tech space, and they're like $4,000 or $5,000 a ticket. They are really well laid out events. Microsoft said, we're not doing an event until August of 2021. That's when we're going to start planning. All other things are canceled. And then every other big tech company and all these tech events, they all followed suit. Every one of them.
DEF CON's done too, right? DEF CON's done.
DEF CON is officially, for the first time ever in history, the big hacking conference. I think there was 22,000 people at the last one, 23,000. That's canceled. Vegas, I don't know how Vegas is. Will it be on the map in a year? There's the bigger question. Like, how long can Vegas survive?
I feel so bad for business owners because, the more of them that I talk to, I think so many of them are just trying to figure out, like, is it worth it even to try to hang on through this disruption? Because, like, what's on the other side of it? You know what I mean? Like, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a business owner, and he was telling me that, like, we were getting really close. They're down to 2 employees right now. And he was telling me, we were really close to paying off all of our business debts. Right. And right now, and he had, I saw him, this was a couple weeks ago. And he had finally, I think, gotten through with somebody from the Small Business Administration, but he basically had not had much luck getting traction with, like, PPP loans and everything. But he's like, right now, just to bridge the gap and get through and keep the business alive, like, I'm looking on taking all kinds of new, like, mountains of new debt. And is it going to be worth it? Like, he's like, there's part of me that just thinks it might be the best idea just to liquidate and just walk away.
Yeah, and kind of related to that. So we have a client and they don't know what to do. I'm not going to name their name because they're really got an upside down situation. They remodeled their events venue. And they used the money from deposits for weddings to remodel the venue. Now the weddings are all canceled. And even the weddings are supposed to be happening this month and into the next month, they're canceled. So now they're like, we don't have the money to get back to them. And what are they going to do? And no one's booking new weddings for any future revenues coming in. So they're all at a standstill. If we don't have the money back, we can't use PPP because we can't bring our employees back because what are they going to do? Stand around a big empty venue? Our cooks, our chefs, our catering business. So they're really in this tight situation. Like, do we just declare bankruptcy today? Do we wait a little while before we declare it? What are we going to do? We can't give the people the money back. We're in a bad situation.
Yeah, so, I want to say something about that. I think a lot of business owners, this is a question, Jeremiah, that I think is very key, is some businesses don't really know what to do who have gotten PPP money. They have no idea how to make it, because if they let their people go already, can't bring them back, not seeing, and he's talking about events in the long run. I know one of the biggest sound and lighting companies, one of my friends who owns the company here in Michigan, and when our live events come back, nobody knows, but he doesn't know what to do with that money, what to do with those funds, like the PPP money. Yep. What do I do with it to make sure that I don't have to pay it back? But these are the things that people don't really know what to do, business owners in this situation, because you just don't know how long this thing lasts. If we had an end date in the beginning, it was like 2 to 3 weeks, a month and a half. Now we're at 2 months. And now we're hearing about companies who won't have live events again until August of 2021, thinking that far down the line. I'm hoping things change. So I'm obviously hoping that that's not the new normal. I don't want it to be like, I don't want us to not be able to sit across the coffee shop and have a cup of coffee together, or us to be on the planes and going certain places. I don't want it to be like that. But if it is, what does that look like for our businesses? I think businesses, it's hard to strategize. And that's why I spend so much time with our coffee shop trying to strategize the best way to still have an impact, still be profitable. What way is that when everything is changing day by day? It's tough.
Well, that was the focus of my conversation with Jackie Victor, the owner of Avalon Breads, the other day.
Who's also, we are one of the, she's one of our members. Yeah.
Right. So it's all linked together, right? And so her restaurant business, people like you are gone, or not, they're not buying. And then the other side of that is the PPP restrictions are way too much for her, because there's no way she's ever going to get that percentage of people back working, because that work doesn't exist.
Right.
That work doesn't exist. Those people are already gone on unemployment and things like that. And then, if she doesn't make the terms of this loan, she's stuck with a loan with very high interest rate and a short return pay time. And so she's like, she did it, right? But she's already advocating for some changes to this, because if there aren't changes, you're going to have a lot of people are just going to default on these loans, because it doesn't make any sense, because what they need to do is use the money to restructure their business to do things, because you can't just turn the switch back on, especially with a lot of these retail things. And that's what I'm worried about on the ground. When I think about individual people, so much of our economy is, retail workers. We have so many people. We have such a difference between the haves and haves not now in our country. And we've taken out the floor.
Yeah.
And
so,
how long are we going to have things like unemployment with the extra sweetener and all that other kind of stuff? There's way too many questions.
So one of the other things I just wanted to say, I'm also struck by, in fact, I saw like an interesting Twitter thread about it earlier, about how all this downtime in some ways is leading to a lot of like ingenuity from like thinkers and business people and stuff, like a lot of innovation. I mean, Nate, you've like done a lot of work, especially in our past, back when we worked together in Ann Arbor, covering business stories on innovation and stuff. I mean, like, what are you seeing in that regards? And Tom and Reverend Merritt, I'd love to, get you to chime in about sort of like how this crisis is going to, could spur innovation.
Well, first off, I appreciate the throwback to our business review days, Sven, God rest its soul, the business review. But, I think what we're seeing in some ways is a hyper accelerated digitalization of the economy. And I think sort of a digitalization that was already going on has just sort of accelerated by a order of magnitude in the last 2 months, where essentially, we see people doing things online that they never did online before. People, ordering takeout, working from home. And I don't see any indication that that's going to slow down. I mean, but on the other hand, I do think we are seeing some indicators that people are very eager to get back out and like go to restaurants and things like that. I'm always a fan as a business reporter of looking at very small data points and reading way too much into them. but I saw a data point the other day. Outback Steakhouse reopened up, about a couple dozen restaurants in states where they could, and they were very surprised by how strong the business was in the first week. And I thought that was really intriguing. And they had, with limited capacity, mind you, I think they cut their seating capacity in like half or something like that. And their sales were only down I believe it was 17% year over year. So the point being that they felt like people were pretty eager to get out there. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be really long-term difficulties, because there certainly will be. But I do think there are some indicators that people are really eager to get back and start spending.
Interesting.
I'm a pathological optimist, and I agree with him. I really hope he's right. I hope it gets back to normal sooner. But on the innovation topic, I will say the demand for entertainment didn't change. We can't go to theater and watch a movie, so we're starting to see, more direct streaming and things like that. And the cat's out of the bag on that. I've always wanted to watch it at my house, before I'd rather go to the theater. That's my own personal preference. And I think a lot of people preferred that. I think we are going to see a lot more people innovating on the space of entertainment digitally delivered. It's going to be kind of interesting, but like you'd said, online ordering, other ways going, okay, this is better now that we have a easier system by which to deliver goods. Of course, Amazon is going to see their next earnings reports can be through the roof through this. I mean, they're eating this thing up, because who doesn't just go to Amazon for things because it's convenient? I don't want to go to the store. I don't want to go, you hear these terrible stories of people fighting and punching each other over face masks. You're like, well, I'm just going to go to Amazon because the store looks like a disaster to go to. So it may hurt the retailers, but of course there is that desire to go and have the ambience and atmosphere at an Outback Steakhouse. And that actually does sound kind of good right now. I won't lie. If they open, I might go, it might not be ready in here, Detroit, but the one down the street's open.
For sure. I wanted to, we've got one of our guests who has to jump off soon, our man about town, Devin O'Reilly. So I want to make sure to say bye-bye to him before he does so. And it's good that you joined us for a while, sir.
Glad I could stop in. Love the conversation. Just gonna, refresh my old fashioned over here. And
what is the cocktail that you've been doing? Is that your recommendation of your quarantine drink?
It's got to be. I feel old fashions actually. It sounds like a fancy drink. You can make it fancy, but it's pretty simple and easy to make. So I feel like it's a good quarantine drink. You got bourbon, syrup, bitters, a little bit of orange. That's it.
Yeah.
Straightforward. You get your citrus. You won't get
easy as you like. Yeah, you get your vitamin C for the day.
Right.
Exactly. Meal in a glass in some ways.
Devin, thank you so much for your contributions and being the man about town. I can't wait for us to have another in-depth conversation about all the things that are opening. Wasn't that fun?
I can't wait to be about town again.
Right?
Yeah. None of us can, I don't think.
For sure. Well, take care, sir.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Devin.
All right. Next up on the line will be Mr. Robert Courtney. He is also a business owner. He also works with marketing, strategy, all kinds of things. He's got a unique view into things. Robert, welcome back to Daily Detroit. We haven't had you on in a few episodes, but it's good to see you, if not virtually.
I know. I'm glad to be back. I feel like it's been forever, but I remember you guys getting this podcast off the ground, and it looked like it's doing phenomenal. So congratulations on that.
Yeah,
thank you. And nice beard you got growing there. That's a nice quarantine beard you got.
Hey, you know what? I haven't seen a barber in so long. So letting it go.
So you probably, I suspect you have an interesting perspective on this topic. We were talking about kind of how, sort of a silver lining of this whole quarantine shutdown, maybe accelerated innovation on the part of businesses. What are you seeing that at all?
Absolutely. I mean, most of our clients are small to medium-sized businesses, and this is something that I've been pushing them to do already, like previous to Corona, previous to the pandemic. And so it's kind of been good in a lot of ways. Like we have a lot of car dealerships is a great example where people aren't allowed in the showroom, and they've been trying to kind of fast track this process of making digital purchases and doing everything online without having a customer have to actually physically come into the store. And then now all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and it's like, now you have no choice. So some of these processes that I feel would have created more convenience for customers that probably should have been implemented already. Now I'm watching these businesses in real time try to kind of figure it out. So yeah, it's innovation, but it's innovation that probably should have been in place already.
For sure, for sure.
I'll agree with that. I mean, the car delivery service, I mean, Tesla being kind of the leader at touchless, just go online and buy your car delivery. I would like to see more of that from some of the other dealers and things like that. You know, it's funny when you talk to them about it, everything is just their general reply when I was car shopping before I bought my Tesla was just come in and buy, come in and look. I'm like, no, can you tell me something about the car? Yeah, come in, I'll take you for a ride in it. Like, no, I'm really busy, dude. Like, I got a lot of other things. Like, I like this car, I think, and never mind when I go buy the Tesla.
It seems like it would be natural. Just the idea of convenience, but you know, people, especially that particular vertical, like they are conditioned to work in a certain way, and anything that changes that process is kind of like, you know, I understand that could be more effective, but we rather do it this way. And so now Corona has basically forced people to think outside of the box. But the cool thing is they're loving it. Like they're loving this process. It's like, you could have been doing this a long time ago.
I'm actually buying my parents' cars over the phone right now through Ford, and it's pretty interesting. I'm just like, you guys could have been doing this a long, long time ago.
How many more people can you reach? Like, how easier can a process be? Like, there's so many advantages.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Well, I know we've got a couple people who need to hop off. First off, Nathan Bomi, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for being a listener. Really appreciate you.
Always love coming with you, joining you guys. A big fan of the pod. You guys help me stay dialed into what's happening in Detroit. So keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Hey, good of you to come on, man, and stay safe. I'll see you on the internet.
Sounds good. See you guys.
See you.
Bye-bye.
See ya. And then Pastor Merritt, I understand you need to get going too.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today and helping us through all of this. It's always good to see you.
Oh, always good to see you guys. I miss the Daily Detroit. Obviously, it's great to be able to listen to you guys all the time. But I miss seeing your faces in the coffee shop. So after this, drinks are on me.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, sir.
Keep the faith, Reverend Merritt.
All right. See you guys.
All right. So let's bring back. Hey, everybody. So we got Tom and Robert back. It's good to see you guys.
Shout out to engineer Randy, by the way, for
thank you, Randy.
Doing the Hollywood squares on the StreamYard here. This is good job, Randy.
Yeah, Randy's doing an amazing job keeping this all together as people come in and out to this virtual happy hour. I mean, this is a really great point that I think we were kind of getting on about how just things are changing, and it's just accelerated things and it's compressed it so much. We even see it here on the podcast. We've seen download consumption numbers. More people are still downloading us, but when they download it has changed because the rhythm of life has changed so much. And I wonder how much more
morning commute anymore.
There's no morning commute. And what is it? How many people don't do a commute in the future? Do we just return back? Like, do you think we're going to snap back, or do you think we're going to come back, but it's going to be different in fundamental ways?
My perspective is we're going to snap back, but it'll definitely be different. And I think it'll be different for everybody. Like, for example, I bounce back and forth between the idea of having a physical office and, doing my home office thing, because in all actuality, the physical office isn't necessary only, for bringing clients in or things like that. But most of our work is done in their location. So it's like, I really don't need it. I don't necessarily need that overhead, but at the same time, like, maybe I should just for presentation purposes and the brand. But I feel like I've been so much more productive over this last 2 weeks, just kind of narrowing my focus and not even worrying about getting out and doing things. So it's really changed my perspective of like my need to be out and about, so to speak.
Yeah, I think just to add to your that point you just made, I have long found that I am more productive working from home than I am in a sterile office environment. That's just me personally. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but it works for me.
Yeah.
I know it's fundamentally changed kind of how we've done the show too, Sven, because like we did a lot of stuff where we thought about having like a physical studio and things like that. But, we ended up building this in the North End, kind of like in a spare, we got a spare room here and we turned it into a studio. And then all of a sudden, this is actually easier to do this way than it is if we had all of you guys pile in over
That's
here
true.
in, at Woodward, just south of Highland Park.
100%. I was on the verge of launching a podcast, And the idea was about a space, getting the equipment, putting everybody in the same spot, booking, days for people to come in. And then it's just, obviously we're forced now to do it differently. And I started a daily podcast, which we know is crazy hard to do in terms of logistics. But with it being this way, it's like, I can make that happen all day. Very little time, very little, involved in that process. And people are so open to this idea of connecting virtually as opposed to connecting where they have to drive out to a place and physically be there. So I think it's awesome. And so many things that's coming out of it that you wouldn't have expected.
For sure.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of clients remote as well, and we don't think a lot of them are coming back to that. Any of the ones is one of those, the joke and the meme that says, oh, that job you said couldn't be done remotely is being done remotely. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. Obviously in my sector, we've been delivering services remotely all over. I've got clients that are scattered around the globe, and some of my people we work with aren't even in the same state. So we've been used to this model, but now we've even seen more people shift to it. And I'm kind of excited by that, because I think the emphasis on physical space is a little bit high, especially in the tech world. My friend, he's going to probably use this as an excuse to get rid of his 3,000 square foot office building that's literally empty. He lives in Florida. He keeps 3,000 square feet of office space in Bethesda, Maryland, where his home base of his company is, just because it makes the VC people happy that he has it. Like, it's funny because nobody comes to the office ever unless it's for some meeting they flies everyone from all over the country into. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. Kind of like Robert said, you can be efficient, focused. I don't have distractions when you focus and work from home. I consider, which I'm actually working in a building with my staff, but we do it differently. So it's more like Robert's been here. It's only because we have the studio here.
Well, yeah, I've been to the studio as well.
Like a house.
Yeah, it does feel like a house.
And things like that here. There's just a couple of us that work in the office. The rest of us work outside the office. So I think we're going to see a lot more companies doing that, thinking about things like outsourced accounting and how you can distribute those people around. And a lot of times, if you think about the task that's oriented to them, it's, here's a stack of things to do them undistracted. Awesome. Great. And it can be done, and it has been done. So I don't think a lot of people are going to go back to the office if they can avoid it. Saves you a lot of, having more office space for those people, which can cost a premium.
Yeah.
Well, this is a little bit of an inside baseball thing, but we're all content creators. How are we finding things being to, get guests, make things happen? One of the things we learned is that people, even before the pandemic, people end up coming to the house studio just fine. And people were, glad to do it. And I know, Tom, you've got quite the setup over there.
Yeah.
You've been able to, you got your what? Which play button did you get from YouTube again? That big one?
Oh, yeah, I got the 100,000 and
100,000 subscriber button.
Yeah, and we're at like 130,000 or 127,000, something like that. We're coming up on 130 now, so It's moving fast. It's an exponential growth type thing. It's really weird. That's all I know, is having that many people following on YouTube.
Awesome stuff, man. Congratulations.
For sure. I do know that, I don't know if he's ready right now, but I do know that we have Mr. Michael Zadoorian. He's an author. He's in the waiting room here. Is he ready to go? Michael.
He is ready to go.
Michael.
I'm so glad you're ready to go.
Which is a good thing because you put me right on.
That's awesome. One thing I wanted to do is, Sven, you can do the official introduction of.
Yeah, I snuck away to refill my drink, so now it's your turn, I think, Jared. So I'll mind the shop while you go refill if you want to.
Absolutely, and don't forget to ask our splurge question.
I won't. Michael, welcome onto our Daily Detroit live stream. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Congratulations on 500th episode. That's amazing.
Well, thank you, and congratulations, because you just had your book release for your new book.
I did just on Tuesday. So we wound up doing something. Well, I was going to say not unlike this, but pretty much this. We did a live stream, like a Facebook live stream of the book launch event, and
awesome.
It worked out great. It was really a lot of fun. I played with, I read some of the book along with Luis Resto, who is like an amazing musician, and you might know him from all his work with Marshall Mathers. He's the guy that went up and got the Oscar when no one showed up at the Oscars. That is Louis. And
Nice.
Anyway, so we played. We had a little Q&A. Had a virtual book table from Book Beat in Oak Park, and it was
cool.
Pretty fantastic. Yeah.
That's great. So before we get too far down, and by the way, Michael, say hello to Tom Lawrence there, who's in his studio, and Robert Courtney,
Hey, Robert.
How's it
who have
going?
been on.
Good.
We're also, I've fallen behind. I haven't asked any of you who are on with us now our central question, and we're asking everybody about your favorite quarantine splurge so far. It could be big, small, whatever. Chronologically, I think Tom joined first, so we'll start with him, then we'll do Robert, and then we'll do Michael.
Like what I have bought or what I want to buy?
Either way, your choice.
Either way. Oh, I've bought nothing. I'm so frugal. I'm really cheap. So I'm still trying to decide what I would splurge on. I don't know. It's we like he mentioned before, going to Outback and having a big steak like at a restaurant. Actually, that does sound pretty good right now. I can't really think. I'm not much of a splurge person. I'm too boring for that, unfortunately.
Really, Jared and I have been talking, and I understand you're actually a fan of the Tesla Cybertruck. Have you put it down pre-order?
Oh yeah, right away. As soon as it came out, I was like, I got a low order number. I already had the Tesla car, so as soon as the Cybertruck, I'm like, oh, I gotta have that. So I'm frugal and everything else, like my day-to-day habits, but it's something, if Elon releases something like that, I'm like, oh, that looks so stupid. Everyone's like, I hate the way it looks. I'm like, exactly. I want to drive something absurd. So
all right. Well, it's gonna be a while before we see that see the light of day at any rate.
Next year, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember. But all right, Robert, how about you? What's your favorite quarantine splurge, big or small?
You know what? Mine is interesting, especially because of your most recent guest. I've been splurging in books. And so like I haven't had time to read in years. I mean, I do, audio books, I do YouTube videos and podcasts and things like that, but a physical book to sit down and flip the pages, like I just haven't had the time. And so in the last 3 weeks, I've probably bought 7 or 8 books on Amazon.
Oh, cool.
And so it's been kind of interesting, kind of getting back in the habit of just, consuming something educational or, self-help, like all different types of books. But that's probably been like my biggest and only splurge that I can really think of through the quarantine.
Wow. Well, bless your heart, sir. I appreciate it. As a writer.
I got one more that I guess I have to get once this.
I've read it and I can recommend it. It's a great book.
Yeah.
It reads. I blew through that. It's a great read. I had a hard time putting it down. I read it in a few days. Robert, anything you've read that you like to recommend?
There's a few. Carlos Gil wrote a book called The End of Marketing. I thought that was pretty good. I read Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, but I had never read the previous book, The Power of Now. So I'm in the middle of that book. It's all, I mean, these are books that probably, a lot of people know, but, just refreshing on some of that information that we know, but we just kind of like forget some of the main principles. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of like my goal. And then I bought a book called Made in America, which is somebody else's perspective of Jay-Z's kind of rise to fame. And so I thought that was a really good book too. I mean, I'm still reading it too.
That's cool. Michael, your biggest splurge, but before I ask you that and let you answer, Shianne just wanted to mention that Beautiful Music, your previous novel, was also great.
Oh, well, thanks. I actually saw it in the private comments here.
Yeah, I have not had a chance to read that one yet, although, as you know, I've read The Leisure Seeker, which was great.
Great, cool, thank you. So I would probably feel hesitant to say this about my splurge had you not said it earlier, Sven, but it has been a certain amount of booze.
You heard me say that too.
Yeah,
Good.
I heard you say that.
I don't feel so bad. Yeah,
good. And you lured me into admitting that that was my splurge. I like a nice Evan Williams like small batch bourbon that's been a nice thing to have
Take the edge
on
off.
these long cold nights of
Yeah.
the But
Yeah,
I
I know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was going to say I am enjoying a Ferndale. I really was watching you guys earlier, and somebody mentioned a Ferndale project beer. I think it was you. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. Well, we had a Laura Khalil was telling us that she was drinking an Eastern Market Brewing Company table beer, I think. Which,
that is right.
You know, Michael, had you made it over to Ferndale Project to the tap room before everything shut down?
I had. I actually.
I think they were open for like 2 weeks or something before.
Yeah.
Everything...
What a colossal drag for them, but they seem to be holding on okay, and the beer's great, and
yeah.
So it's from what I've heard, they're selling quite a bit of beer, and so hopefully they're keeping some people employed, and
Yeah, absolutely. So we were talking about books. Michael obviously is an author or novelist. I mean, have you guys books, TV shows, like anything you guys recommend? Have you guys been, one thing I've been kind of digging on is all of the musical artists who've been doing like live stream performances on Instagram or Facebook Live or whatever. Like super cool and like such a lifeline just for sanity's sake, I think.
I think that's something we'll see even more of as well. I mean, you're going to see more of them publishing things too. They can do it by themselves. They can jump on YouTube. They can quickly publish, a decent microphone, even like the microphone I have here. This is $100 investment, some basic sound equipment to get you started. If you're into, producing music, it's a lot easier to get on there, and people are looking for it. They're sitting in front of the computer anyways, like I mentioned earlier. So you're going to see increases in going, well, I can't go discover them at the local bar. It's closed still, or the live events aren't planned yet. We're a year out before we really have a lot of big live or concert events. I've seen some people trying to do like the car in the park ones. I've seen a couple of people like trying to promote that. It's still like the same, you know what I mean? So I think you're going to see this probably a jump in a lot of these artists going, well, all I got to do, hit the camera, set my phone up, prop it up, and play a tune and start going. So I think that's going to be kind of exciting. I'm looking forward to maybe to find a few new songs here and there.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a brand new lane and opportunity for so many artists who I think really the opportunity is in breaking your current audience, because, if you do a concert, usually that concert is going to consist of people that you kind of already have, people that's willing to spend money. They're going to go to the concert, or they may be willing to go to your concert. But now, if you're not willing to spend money, you can watch them on, these performances that they're basically doing the exact same thing. So I think it's giving artists an opportunity to really break their initial kind of niche fan base and get out to a broader audience.
I think that's totally true with the literary world too. I was just talking about this not that long ago, that it is, the whole literary thing where, your book comes out and you go and you drive places and you shake hands with people and talk to people in like bookstores or libraries. And, but I've driven 5 hours to get somewhere and had 4 people show up. And it's, not the most ideal thing. And it's a really sort of archaic model. And I'm realizing that this is such a better way to connect with people and talk to people, and at least, and still give them all you really want to do as an author is to just give people a sense of what your book's about and about you, and they'll decide whether or not they're interested, but the result is the same. They either yes or no, I'm interested in this guy's book, or I'm not. But I didn't have to drive 5 hours to get there to find out,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say probably the last probably 30, 40 books already, probably if not more of them, is almost 100% driven by me hearing them on the podcasts that I listen to. I've got a long list of podcasts that are all my regular listens to, mostly, deeply in the technical space and some of it in the marketing space too. But almost all the stuff, all the books I've grabbed and read have been, hey, they were a guest on one of the podcasts that I'm a regular listener to. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a great there. Because I don't check, and it's because I know how gamified a lot of those bestseller lists are and things like that online. that I know there's all the gamification. I'm like, I don't know if that's my recommendation, but once you hear from an author and you're like, wow, this person had a lot of great things to say, I want them to expand more than this little 30-minute podcast to listen to. So I frequently, while I'm on there, I'll be listening to a podcast, hear the author, and I'm sitting on my phone, I'm ordering the book, I'm getting it set up in my audio account. Like before I'm done, I'm like, I'm 15 minutes in, I've already got the book bought, and that's now okay. It's in the queue. As soon as the podcast's over, I start the book.
That's really all it is. People just want to get a sense of you and your work, what the book's about, whether or not they're interested, and they can find that out virtually or live. And I can reach a lot more people virtually.
Oh yeah.
I know for me in my search for like podcast guests and things like that, it's funny, like a lot of the people that we admire or we see from afar, a lot of them have authored their own book. Like in the last 40 interviews I've done, it's been at least 6 authors in those conversations. So that's like, if I'm gonna have you on, the first thing I want to do is at least read your book so that I can get a better sense and understanding of who you are. And that's probably have been what's motivated me to kind of get on this book splurge that I've been on recently. So I definitely agree. Like you can interact on a deeper level with somebody and get to know them. And then they have a book out that gives you an even deeper appreciation for some of the things that they've done. I agree with that 100%.
Well, and speaking of books, our next guest who's going to join us, he is a doctor, but he also has his own that he has done as well around his topic, which is a bit technical, but also very interesting. Dr. Thomas, welcome to Daily Detroit.
Dr. Paul.
Dr. Paul.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Great to be here.
You are
in your faces. Congratulations. 500 episodes. Yes. I'm so excited for you guys. This is so awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You're at the office.
Yeah, I'm at the office, hanging at the office, just
making a house call for us.
Wrapped up a busy day. We had probably like 12, 15 people come through, doing some antibody testing for folks and taking care of people.
Dr. Paul, meet Michael Zadoorian, who's there in his home studio. Hey. Robert Courtney in his home, and Tom Lawrence in his home studio as well. So good to see you.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely. So we've been talking just it's a wide-ranging conversation, the likes of which you'd have at a bar if your friends kind of just wandered in and at staggered times. We've been talking about favorite books. Dr. Paul, let's start off with the central question, get that out of the way. And there you see Dr. Paul's credentials. He's with Plum Health, which is direct primary care. We'll get into that a little bit. But Dr. Paul, what has been your favorite quarantine splurge, large or small so far?
Man, quarantine splurge, large or small. I think I've been loving Ema, the restaurant, because my wife and I love their noodle bowls and all their dishes. So it's been awesome that they've been open through the pandemic and kind of got us through. It's kind of like something we look forward to. Usually every Thursday, pick up something on the way home.
Nice. I did get to try their new Midtown location pretty shortly before all this craziness went down. So it was very good.
Yep. Great vegetarian dishes as well if you're trying to be, meat conscious or whatever. And just a really friendly staff. So they're awesome.
Yeah. Dr. Paul, how's life as a doctor these days during this pandemic outbreak and everything? Like, I mean, how is it affecting you? Like,
not gonna lie, it's been really stressful. First, we're really fortunate that we're operating like this membership model, and the vast majority of our members have stayed with us. We do take care of a lot of restaurant workers and restaurant groups. So we've had a couple people furloughed. So we've hit the pause button on their memberships. But by and large, people have been really good to us and have sustained us through this pandemic. So that's been great. But also just fielding so many questions. It's a new thing. It's a new diagnosis that people have had and a lot of new concerns. So I've been fielding maybe 30 text messages every day from my patients, 20 emails, and a lot of phone calls, and just trying to coach people through this. And, part of that, I've been making those YouTube videos and Facebook videos to help educate the broader community about what's going on with coronavirus and how we can fight it together.
Mm-hmm. And are you still seeing patients in person? Or are you doing a lot more like telemedicine now?
Yeah. So initially when this really broke, we shut everything down in terms of seeing patients in the office, and we really only did urgent care visits. Like somebody was bit by their dog in their hand, so we came in and sewed that up, but mostly we were just only doing phone calls. And now we've eased back into seeing patients in the office and doing testing, but it's really only for more urgent concerns, and if we can handle it over the phone, we will.
That's cool. So have you seen much? I mean, have you been diagnosing coronavirus, COVID-19 among many patients?
Yeah, we have. We've had a number of positive cases in our office. What we've typically been doing is writing a script for them to go to the testing site at the state fairgrounds at Woodward and 8 Mile.
Yep.
And we've had a lot of success with people getting in there like same day, next day for a test. And then beyond that, we've been doing the follow-up antibody testing in our office. And so we've, confirmed some positive cases that people had tested positive at the fairgrounds, and now they're testing positive on the antibody test in our office. But we're trying to avoid having acutely ill patients in our office and instead referring them to the state fairgrounds to the drive-through testing, just to keep our office, free of the virus and prevent the spread at our office.
And have you had to refer like patients who have like serious symptoms to hospitals and things like that?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. That's happened in a few cases. So, it's really been affecting our community, and we're at the heart of it here in Southwest Detroit. So we've been doing our best to keep everybody healthy and directing folks to the ER who need it.
You're a doctor, you talk with other doctors, you see patients all the time. Like, what have you learned about the coronavirus in treating all these patients? And as time goes on and we all are, more and more people unfortunately get infected, what have you learned about it?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because, we learn a lot more about ourselves when we face a pandemic or any kind of external threat. And so what we really learned is that the, social inequalities in our society are really killing us and harming our most vulnerable residents. And if that wasn't apparent before, it's definitely made itself very well known at this time. And it's something that I'm passionate about. This is the reason that I started my practice here in Detroit, because, I'm from here and I want to serve people in this community. And I know how underserved it is, but I think a lot more people are aware of how underserved Detroit is and what we need to do to address those inequalities.
Yeah, absolutely. Jer.
Yeah, so for you, it seems like business has been, thankfully kind of steady, but you're also in a place where a lot of people need you right now.
Yeah, it's good to be needed, and we've been really busy, and that takes its own stress. But I'm trying to stay in gratitude for the opportunity to serve people and continue serving as best we can. At times, it's been overwhelming. I'm not going to lie, but we're doing our best to stick with everybody and get everybody through this.
So, guys, we're getting to the end of this happy hour live stream conversation. It's Friday night. We want to let everybody go enjoy their Friday nights, and it's the weekend. But it strikes me that the weekend doesn't mean the same thing necessarily that it used to. I talk to friends in other cities and stuff, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? And it's like, well, wait, what do any of us do this weekend that's any different? But I don't know, do you guys do any, is there any differentiator between weekdays and weekends for you anymore? Anybody got any plans, anything fun planned over this weekend?
I
Mother's Day.
I didn't know it was Friday till you said it.
Well, it's like that Cleveland TV news station that keeps doing that. What day is it? I don't know. What day is it segment, right?
So it's Groundhog Day, man. Every day seems to be the same now.
Yeah.
I know for us, the only thing that really keeps the days aligned is my son is a 9-year-old, so he has schoolwork that he's still doing. So they have set items to complete Monday through Friday. And then he's super excited because on Saturday, there's nothing to do. So I think that's really the only thing keeping the days from really blending together for us. But yes, I feel like everything's basically the same, because we usually operate on client work weeks, which is Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends there's a lot less to do for our business. So.
Yeah, I think one of the most challenging things about this pandemic is like you don't know when it's going to end. We don't know when it's going to end.
Right.
And so like one of the most enjoyable things is to like make plans and like do a weekend trip or a vacation, or looking forward to the little things like Flower Day around here, or like the DSO, open air concerts. And it's just really rough not knowing if those things are going to be there and not knowing when to plan for the next like fun thing to do. So
that's really true. It just made me realize, you talking about that, one of the things I miss most is anticipation. The idea that something's going to happen, or I'm going to go do something, or whatever, see something, and that kind of anticipation is just gone, and it's all just sort of the days just kind of flow together in a way that there they are. They're virtually indistinguishable in some ways.
It's probably causing some of the drama, so to speak, that you see, because tensions are high. So you see more people on Facebook just grasping at everything because they don't have an answer for when they can go out. So they go, but this person said on Facebook that everyone else is wrong except for this one person. I think that's why they're grasping onto it harder than ever. And not to get into all the crazy people, but you know what I'm talking about. They grasp onto. But someone said that everyone else is wrong, and I'm going to be able to start living my life again next week. And that's what I want to look forward to. And I think that's why we're seeing like a resurgence or a bigger surge in people grasping onto that type of, absurdity when you actually say it out loud.
Yeah. I know for us, like the silver lining in all this is just, the appreciation for like the smaller things. So when this thing first happened, being in the house for 2 weeks and it was cold outside, and then all of a sudden the sun came out, just being able to go out and walk around the block was just like the greatest thing ever.
Oh, yeah, huge.
It felt like going on a trip, to a beautiful destination. So I think, there's this feeling of like Dr. Paul said, gratitude, and then just appreciation for family and like eating dinner together, and like just like the little things that we typically move so fast we don't get opportunities to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the little things become so huge during this time. You really realize like what you have to be thankful for in your life, and they can be really small things, but they mean so much more right now.
Yeah, for me, I and my wife, dinner is preparing and eating dinner is the best part of the day. That's just the nicest part of the day, and it really does make you appreciate that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So meanwhile, I mentioned it's Mother's Day on Sunday. I mean, you guys got plans? You're in touch with your moms? Like you reaching out? I'm gonna be the Daily Detroit scold here and make sure everybody contacts their mothers. Okay.
I'm usually
you owe your whole life to them.
But I actually made some moves. So Lisa, if you're watching, watch your porch. In the next day, there's something coming to your door. Really excited.
Robert, Tom, you guys, in touch with your mothers? Like, come on now.
I personally have a great relationship with my mother. We talk just about every day. I don't necessarily celebrate Mother's Day, but I try to make sure I keep in touch with her. And
that's good. Yeah,
doing good. She's a little older, but yeah, I got a great relationship with my mom. So I'll be checking in with her, but not just on Mother's Day, every single day.
Oh, right.
That's a good man. That's a good man.
It's like that Mr. T thing. You know what Mr. T, like that love your mother song?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Always remember to love your mother.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know that there's a couple of folks that need to drop off, so I want to make sure to say proper goodbyes to them, both Robert and Michael. So I really appreciate your time today on Daily Detroit and hanging out with us and celebrating 500 episodes.
Yeah, had fun with you guys. Hope you did too.
Yeah, congratulations on that, and hopefully we can do this again real soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks so much for having me on, you guys. Congratulations.
Thanks, and we'll get to that Ferndale Radio
someday.
Co-DJing thing that we talked about right before all this happened. Someday it will happen.
Man, I believe in us.
Me too.
Michael, thank you for making a beautiful music and also making a beautiful podcast with us.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks. I love being on here, you guys. So
All right.
thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
And
all right. And then there was Dr. Paul and
Tom Lawrence.
Tom Lawrence. Oh, we lost one.
There goes Dr. Paul.
There we go.
There
Randy
he
hit
is.
the wrong button. Randy.
Oh,
there we go,
hello.
Randy.
Whoops.
Randy, you haven't chimed out. And Shianne makes her first.
Hey, everybody.
appearance.
Hey,
Hey,
Randy.
Shianne.
I'm here.
Randy and Shianne, like Mother's Day. Thoughts, plans?
I ordered my mom a gift and sent it to her. She got it a couple days ago because I knew I wouldn't be able to travel up north to visit her.
Right. Yeah. That's good.
Well, because I am a mother, I made sure that Phil bought me something. I told him not to mess up. I have a very complicated relationship with Mother's Day only because my father passed away on Mother's Day 2 years ago. So I try really hard to celebrate Mother's Day, but I'm also like Mother's Day. I also bought some Natural Red Essentials body care stuff for myself because she was having a really good sale. And I bought them for my mom too. So there you go.
Nice.
That's what we're doing for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. So I guess with what we've got here, I wanted to ask you a question, Dr. Paul, because I wanted to make, we were going down this hole a little bit before, but I wanted to make sure to get everybody involved before they had to go.
If you show us that rash, I'm going to kill your camera.
No. That's amazing. No, in all seriousness, antibody tests. What's the story? What's going on with those, and why are those important?
Well, man, where to start with this one? But I think it's a reasonable test. We ordered some from our office from Confirmed Biosciences. We've been happy with them. They have about 95% sensitivity, which means if you have 100 people who have the virus, it will pick up 95 of them as positive, and you'll have 5 false negatives. Okay, so that being said, our tests have picked up everybody who has tested positive on the nasal swab, and it's a nice confirmatory test. And then we've had people come through, hey, I think I was sick back in January, February. Was it corona? It ended up not being that. So I think it's been a good test for us in our office, like on a micro level. On a macro level, it's a reasonable test to help us understand who's had the test and who will be able to go back to work if they have the antibodies, and help our companies and organizations understand who's had the virus and who's developed antibodies to it.
That's not me controlling the camera. Jared took over.
I think happy hour is starting to get more interesting here all of a sudden.
Yeah,
because, like it's getting unpredictable.
I think that's
skinny on the antibody test.
Yeah. I think it's been really interesting thing is my own interest, being that I really enjoy science, I enjoy tech, is trying to find information on this has been a little bit harder because I think there's so much misinformation, which has been, I'm happy to have someone who's a credentialed doctor on it. It's awesome actually telling us this stuff. But I think it's also seeing the greater gaps, like you had mentioned, in what your facility fulfills is some of those large gaps we have in our system. Like the reason we're having so much trouble is because we don't have a simple way that we could nationally roll out tests. It didn't happen. And it's been kind of hopefully an enlightenment to a lot of people going, oh, now I know why we need it. Like those people weren't just rattling the cage a few years ago and they said, hey, without a national plan for this, we could really be in trouble. We are kind of seeing the results. We don't have test kits ready. And I have 3 daughters that work in medical, and 2 of them on the front lines dealing with COVID patients at the University of Michigan Hospital, things like that. So, I mean, like not having proper PPE for them has me worried about them as nurses. So it's really concerning. And it's like this, I see it from a parent as having seen children in this, and then as a member of the human population watching all the crazy going on. So I think that's been enlightening. Hopefully one of the things I'm really hoping comes out of this is a lot of people think deeper about what we can do to improve the situation overall with how healthcare works in America.
Yeah, that's a great point. If we had a functioning pandemic response system where our federal government could work with either one manufacturer or multiple manufacturers to create a reliable test that they could distribute to all the physicians and all the hospitals to reliably test everyone, that'd be great. But in our current system, we have like, I think there's 17, 20 different tests on the market, and it's up to doctors and patients to decide which ones to buy and which ones to roll out. And so it's a difficult situation to be put in as a physician, but we're trying to make the most of it and order a reasonable test for people and give people some peace of mind and some additional information that they can use and go forward and either, protect themselves or understand best practices around how to interact with the world.
Dr. Paul, what's been your experience trying to get, personal protective equipment and other medical supplies that you need to deal with, coronavirus patients and stay safe?
It's been very difficult. I'm not going to lie. Fortunately, we had bought a box of masks, like, basic surgical masks. And so we had about 25 on hand when all this went down. And then I went to the hardware store and I bought 20 more. That's all that they had. And then we were close to running out, and somebody in the community, Tyson Gersh, came through and he delivered 100 KN95 masks to our office. So it was really based off the generosity of somebody in our community that we are able to protect ourselves at this point. And then we had somebody come through and deliver 60 face masks to our office. So just like an additional, like a clear plastic shield that we can wear if we're concerned.
Yeah, that's right.
We're really depending on the generosity of the community, which is like not a great feeling, but it's nice when it comes through. But it was really scary there for a minute when we were down to our last like 5 masks.
That's just like, it seems like when you're thinking of America, that a doctor went to the hardware store to go buy some masks. Like that sentence, like,
yeah.
You can say this, fortunately we stocked up before this happened. We had 4 gallons of hand sanitizer, and fortunately that's been enough. And likewise, we bought a bunch of disinfectant wipes before this all happened. But, if we didn't have that, I've looked at ordering those things online, and you really can't. You can't order disinfectant wipes. And so, fortunately, there's something like Detroit Bus Company. We just ordered another gallon of hand sanitizer from them. But like, disinfectant wipes are still an issue. It's hard to find those things.
It's so crazy. I mean, and I've said this on the show probably more than once, that it's just remarkable to me how the coronavirus has just systematically exposed, like one after another, like weaknesses in the healthcare system, the social safety net, like our economy, everything. It's just like
supply chain,
everything, I mean, and it just really strikes me that like if we, and I think, we've talked about this throughout this happy hour live stream, that how things are going to change. Like it would be almost like a shame if we just went back to like the status quo after this is all done, because like in a way this is an opportunity for us to like reset and really think about things and redesign systems to work better, especially healthcare. I mean, which, as we know, and especially you, Dr. Paul, like, doing a different style of healthcare membership and everything, it's a badly broken system.
Yeah, of course. And like perhaps it will be like what happened after 9/11, where the United States government came out with the Patriot Act, and, for all of its flaws and everything, but they put a lot of money into shoring up our systems around domestic safety. So, is this going to be a point where our government takes a serious look at changing our health care system and our health insurance system and how we take care of people in our country in terms of their medical aspects?
Well,
remains to be seen.
Because I'm just stunned by this. Because if you think about this, you're buying hand sanitizer from a bus company.
Yes.
And you can't order disinfectant wipes. Like all the things
you're a medical
stuff.
doctor. You're
a medical doctor. Like I understand I shouldn't be able to get disinfectant wipes if you can't. But like that is the system that we are in now. We're not even using the Defense Production Act to do that kind of stuff. I don't want to get overly political here, but the reality is that like we put a bunch of effort towards making ventilators, but we also need to do these basics. I think about the arsenal of democracy as a student of history and all the different parts that we made in Detroit. We made rivets. We made, the plates. We made the tanks. There's so many things that go into that overall experience, that overall armament, if you will. And we need that armament for our healthcare professionals. And it's really disturbing to me as an American that we can't do that and that we haven't done it.
And we've outsourced this to other places, like namely China. A lot of our personal protective equipment comes from China. So, it's something about, do we want to take the time and invest in making these things here in America?
For sure. For sure. Well, I know that it is getting close to 6 o'clock. I want to make sure to give everybody a chance to shout out things. I know that Dr. Paul, you recently have a new book. A book that's been published on Amazon, actually, you were talking about just on Facebook.
Yeah, I just published it. I released it on May 5th, and I did a big push on it a couple of days, on May 6th. It's not that book. That is The Cure for the Broken Healthcare System. That's the first book I wrote back in 2018 about direct primary care. But I just released a second book helping other doctors to do what I've done at our Plum Health Clinic here in Detroit. We've had a really successful medical practice, independent practice, and that's rare in our current ecosystem. A lot of docs sell out to larger hospital systems and get gobbled up and therefore kind of lose their autonomy. So I wrote a book about how we can help other doctors start their own direct primary care practices and take care of their patients and their communities to the best of their abilities. So I'm really excited about that. Thanks for letting me shout it out.
Oh, absolutely.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then Tom, of course, you're always at Tom Lawrence Systems.
I'm
what are you doing on your YouTube channel lately?
Diving deep into the tech videos like I always do. It's more the same. If you're not into the tech that I'm into, then it's not something I like. I don't push people to follow me unless you want to follow me for the tech that I talk about, which is a lot of servers and diving in how to do things. And we did an entire, as soon as started locking things down, we did an entire deep dive into a bunch of VPN stuff, how to set it up, how to configure it, which of course got really popular really quick and, help people get deployed remotely. So a lot of it's just diving into more of the topics that we do.
For sure. Nice. For sure. Well, I wanted to just thank everybody for watching this whenever you tuned into this broadcast. Oh my gosh. Almost 2 hours, everybody.
Yeah.
That was
Time
something.
flies when you're having fun.
Exactly.
For sure. And, I also want to thank the people behind the scenes. Fletcher had to jump off, but Fletcher has been doing great coverage of Detroit City FC, the Detroit Pistons. We definitely got to find some more things for him to do because he's just a great guy to talk about all the things happening around town. And of course, thanks, Randy, Shianne, thanks to both of you behind the scenes for making these happen because
great job, guys.
I'll tell you, a daily podcast of this kind of scale that we do at Daily Detroit usually takes about 12 full-time people, 10 to 12 full-time people. And we do it with a bunch of part-timers, people who lend their shoulder to the wheel and make amazing things happen here. And it's really, really been something special. And if you do feel like supporting us, we do have a membership program at patreon.com/Daily Detroit. The only pitch I will do 2 hours and change into the thing. I'm really not the best marketer when it comes to these things. We go 2 hours and we've asked for money 0 times, but that is what we do at patreon.com/Daily Detroit. We have some great members that make things happen and the people behind the scenes. Tom, thank you so much for being such a fan and supporter of Daily Detroit. Thank you for helping me debunk some conspiracy theorists earlier. And then as soon as we post that, we get a whole new one.
Yes.
With that pandemic video, which was crazy.
Yeah, and I sent you the debunk on that. I did a little write-up for you. So
there's Dr. Paul with his head in his hands. If you're listening and not watching.
And some great memes you found on that topic too, Tom.
Oh yeah, I can't help it. If I can just speak in memes, I'm okay with it.
Well, we're working to get the Detroit Grill King on the show, and it would be great to have the Meme King versus the Grill King.
Okay, I don't know about a meme king, but I do like memes a lot.
Take the title and run with it, man.
Yeah.
Well, and Dr. Paul, thank you for your service to the community. I mean, we've been following your story for years. I mean, you and Daily Detroit and Plum Health. I mean, I remember both of our inauspicious beginnings.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story, man. It's great to have a startup in Detroit and kind of feed off the energy of the community and be around like-minded people who are doing great things. So it's been awesome watching you guys grow too.
Thank you, sir, and cheers. Well, thank you to everyone. Thank you for
listening, joining us for 500 episodes, which is insane. Sven, are we dead yet? Do you feel dead yet?
No, but I'm after 2 hours live stream happy hour, I think I'm ready to
like
live stream.
How we had a whole 2 pages of like filler content in case we ran out of stuff to talk about and we didn't touch it at all.
No, can I talk about my splurge thing really fast?
Oh yeah.
Of course,
Get
of
to that,
course.
yeah.
Okay, my splurge. I have 2. One is the Animal Crossing limited edition Animal Crossing Switch, but also look what came in the mail as I was waiting for this to start. My brand new Scarlet.
Ooh,
So
your
I
new
can
audio
actually,
interface.
Nice.
Yes.
Ooh.
So that has been my splurge is podcasting stuff. So
Very
there you go.
fancy.
Yeah, I guess we didn't do my splurge either. I got myself
No.
a brand new 27-inch 4K Dell monitor.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Fancy. Well, and the nice thing is, Shianne, you don't have to borrow Randy's microphone anymore.
I know I can take it back and give it to you.
Jared, did you do your splurge?
Does the chorizo count?
I guess the unwilling spurt. You know what? I'm going to say that I am loving these cocktail cubes because it just makes making mixed drinks so much easier. And I miss, you know what I miss?
They're good.
They are good. And I miss Kiesling, kind of like the home bar down the
geez.
street.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're so
I
nice
miss
over
bars. Yeah, God.
Amazing bar.
there. Oh, yeah, for sure. I think we all have a touch of Salunimal in us. But yeah, so it's kind of helped get through from the folks at Castalia. So that's been really great. One of the splurge is I got a dog like 3 days before this thing happened. I didn't mean to. She was a stray on Dexter and Wildemere that my friends picked up, and she's just been moved in, and she's been great.
What's her name?
Gabrielle.
Oh, so cute.
And so she has been very active and wanting to get out in the world. And it's been really cute because I hope out of this whole thing that she doesn't think that she's not supposed to see people. Because when she sees friends in the neighborhood, because this neighborhood in the North End is amazing. I love living in the city of Detroit. And the neighbors here are great. And they're always like, oh, the new dog, because they know the old dog. And the old dog's still here. But then the new dog needs to walk longer than the old dog. And they want to meet her. But of course, they can't. They got to be across the street. And so she'll just cry. And it makes me sad. That's when I'm like, oh, this is a pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who
say,
tuned into this live stream. Sorry, Randy.
I was going to say thanks to Karen. She had to drop out before we could say goodbye to her.
Yeah, thank you,
There, too.
Karen Dybis.
Yes.
We appreciate you. We love you. And thanks to everybody who hung with us. Hopefully this happy hour was, fun, a nice diversion. Maybe you learned something, maybe not. But hey, thanks for watching us.
Absolutely. And make sure to tune in on Monday morning. We'll have a new podcast for you.
Yep. Daily Detroit, patreon.com/Daily Detroit. Don't forget to go there. And if you want to support us, we really appreciate it. We are member supported media. Everybody have a great weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And
Thank you.
Keep the positivity, everybody.
Here's the 500 more.
Aye. Cheers.
Cheers. Anything in my drink.
Ciao.